like to express the great satisfaction of the municipality of Orvieto for organizing here this important event. It's a special day, the International Literacy Day, and we decided to celebrate it in the library Orvieto. I thank for her presence the Councillor Agabiti for something which will be an exchange of ideas, to exchange good practices that we realized in our libraries. The library in Orvieto joined one of the first to join the Born to Read. We celebrate the 25 years. We are a reference point not only in our territory, thanks to the many projects that we implemented and that played an important role at regional level. Today is an important day. Today is another day for the insight into the library questions. We are sure that we gave a very important and relevant push to the development of the library, because we believe that libraries can be a growth factor in the community life, and the event today is one of the evidence that we believe in this development. I thank you for being here. I thank the Mayor of Orvieto. Good afternoon to everybody, and I thank everyone who is here. This event, as the Mayor reminded us, is important because of the UNESCO Literacy Day. And this is a moment where we can exchange ideas. They are important for the institutions, for the operators, for all the actors. The library is a very important place. I think it's the first in Umbria, this library here in Orvieto. It's a qualified example of good practices aimed at developing our youth. It's a sustainable development, a necessary step so that our children and young people can have a solid basis of literacy. We, as institution, we have the obligation to put in place every possible tool. Thanks to the help of the regional development, we built a network that includes at political level, health level, cultural level, all the actors that participated in order to realize this project. The project that is Libraries for Literacies, the project Born to Read, that was fundamental because it put in place and combine all the actors necessary to bring forward the Literacy Pact, and we believe that through the tools of the Support Umbria, 30 million per year that we spend for the families, I think that's really a signal necessary to let our communities grow, to give our young people a vision and a support for the future, for the human rights, for the human dignity. We have to grow and develop a community so that our young people can look into the future with the awareness of knowledge, because just through knowledge you can find the solutions for a more inclusive world, for a world where peace, and it is also important to find at regional level the combination of the will of all the actors. We have a project that involved beyond the municipalities, all the municipalities of the region Umbria, 50 libraries, and of course all the actors involved in the project. We have to continue. Our commitment is there. We will continue to support the project this development of good practice for the communities we represent. Thank you, Major. Thank you, Councillor. The day that will start now and will continue today with this important conference. And I hope that that will be a memorable event, because we celebrate 20 years of our activities as region, as municipalities. We have other partners. AB, the Association of the Italian Libraries, represented here by the chairman Monica Fiori, and we have Mr. Rossetti, who is always in commitment for the project Born to Read, always active in the promotion for the reading programs for toddlers and small children. And then we have Simonetta Pasquali, representative of the IFLA, and we celebrate today the International Day of Literacy. I will give the floor now to Ms. Fiori. Welcome to everybody. I am the regional chairman of AB Umbria. This is a region of the foundation for the project Born to Read that was established in Assisi through the collaboration of pediatricians, healthcare centers, and the Italian Association of Libraries. We met 4 years ago to celebrate in Assisi the 20 years, and now we are here today to celebrate our 25 years of activity. I would like to remind that the Italian Association of Libraries is the oldest association of this kind and guarantees professionalism for all the librarians working in this sector. And I thank Ms. Agabiti, the regional councillor, for reminding that we have the possibility to work in a network with the pediatricians of the region in order to support the training of open minds, open brains through the means of reading in families. And I would like to remind that it is not enough to know, it's not enough the knowledge, but also the know how to do something. The literacy and competencies, and that is what combines the two day of today and tomorrow. I am so happy to be here and to see so many colleagues in person after so many online calls. We want to look in the future. We want to continue to learn in order to support in our libraries and in the homes, the families. I give the floor to Mr. Rossetti. Thank you to the region Umbria for organizing this event. Thanks especially to Orvieto. I was 20 years ago, we were present in Assisi when the Born to Read project was founded. I remember that the idea of the program on the reading that put together the world of libraries and pediatrician seemed something strange at the beginning. What have pediatricians to do with libraries? And it took some time really to understand this combination. In these 25 years, apart from all the actions that we implemented, we came from two completely different cultures, the health sector and the sector of libraries. We intertwined these two elements, but with one common object, aims, to promote the health in the children. I saw that in this year, we as operators, we gained a lot. The word of the books and the word of readings, we understood the beauty of literature for infancy that improved in the last year, and you librarians taught us that a library is not only a place where you go and read a book. It's a place where you can talk about health, when you can develop a community where families can meet and share meanings, ideas. And at the same time, the librarians got information about the neurological development of children, of toddlers, and they understood the simple but very important role of the parents reading books to children. We concentrated on the relationship between parents and children. The relationship is based on food, on sleeping, but also on the reading together. The dialogic reading means that the parent puts something of himself or herself in the reading. There is a bidirectional exchange. Everything is mediated by the emotions, by the feelings shared between children and parents. My colleagues will explain how this can contribute to build up the brain structures. So institutions, at the beginning, this project was based on a very spontaneous and almost voluntary action. Then we involved the world of the school, the institution, the childcare centers, and then the obstetricians, the neuropsychiatry. We involved the book of the library, the bookshops, the volunteers who are very important. Slowly, step by step, with failures, with weak points, we built in our region a good practice, a community of good practices and a network that promotes reading. What Dr. Rossetti reminded us is that being pioneers has not, of course, strengths and weaknesses, but it gives us a method. It teaches us to meet, the importance of meeting, the importance of building step by step cultural welfare, of building strange relationships that at the beginning seemed strange, but now are something taken for granted by everybody. And I take pride into reminding that we are under the coverage of UNESCO, ANCI, Regional School Office, of the two healthcare enterprises of the region. This is a road, a path we opened and on which we can continue to go on. The network, starting from our region, and goes beyond the limits of our nation and is exchanging ideas with the rest of the world. I thank the municipality of Orvieto for this special event. We are here as section dedicated to literacies and reading, which belongs to the wider section of IFLA, which covers all kinds of libraries. We are one of the 50 section of IFLA. We promote reading in the libraries among citizens, and literacy is necessary at different levels, and now we must include the digital level. We try to promote also the objectives of the sustainable development. Our section impacts on many objectives. Among them, I would like to mention health and welfare, instruction, rightful jobs, reduction of inequalities, and fight against climate change. IFLA sustains the principle of free access both to information and freedom of expression that is incarnate by the Article 19 of the Declaration of Human Rights. And through the services in our libraries, we can continue to guarantee this free access to all citizens. And libraries play a special role in this promotion. This is one of the steps of the events of our section in the way to the next Congress, International Congress, in the year 2025, which will be held in Kazakhstan. But before this event, we will have a second meeting in Australia, where now there are many colleagues and the chairperson of IFLA. And this meeting in Orvieto, midterm meeting in Orvieto, is a very important event taking us forward to the National Congress in 2025. I thank you. We are happy that the midterm meeting can take place in Orvieto, in this beautiful library. And we thank also the staff of the municipality in Orvieto for the welcoming. And now we start our first session. We go into the scientific evidence, and I invite to the table Mr. Professor Mento from the University of Padova, responsible for the NeuroDev Lab, and he would talk about the possibility of building a predictive brain. Good afternoon to everybody. First, I thank the organization of the event, Ms. Bartolucci and Ms. Fiore, and the town Orvieto, which is hosting us. What I would like today is try to share with you the point of view of the neurosciences, which is my specific field of study. It's a discipline that tries to understand the relation between the development of the brain in the small children and understand which is the effect of the early experience and early exposure to reading has on the brain of small children. I won't talk specifically about literacy and literature, but I would like to show you why it is very important to understand what are the effects on the brain. I would like to introduce a new concept, which is the so-called predictive brain, which is a way of understanding how the brain works. I would like to start. If I should summarize what is the most beautiful idea of the development science, I would like to show this this picture. What you can say is Waddington Landscape, who was a biologist of the last century in England. He wanted to show the human development through this picture. It's a very simple and poetic image that you can see. It's not the development of the brain is not a deterministic development line. It's if we compare the development of a person to this ball that comes down from the hill, you can see that starting from the same starting point, from the same genotype, the probability, it's a probabilistic development, it's an epigenetic probabilistic idea. You can see that we have a different direction of development. So starting from the same starting point, you can reach two different arrival points. These are turning points in our life, for example, birth, school, the adolescent, where different environmental experiences can really have an impact and give us a difference. Which are these elements that can play this role? For example, where we are born. If you are born in the Stripe of Gaza or in Italy, this is a big difference. If you are born in northern Italy or in Sicily, it's a difference. There is a very high coordination between the environment and the quality of life. The affection we get from the beginning of our life, what we eat. We have among us pediatricians, we know that food can destroy can damage our brain and the neurological development. For example, if we give a baby of 2 years, for example, we give him a mobile phone in the hand, or if we read a story, this makes a very huge difference, not only in a moral sense, but in the sense of the neurological development of the brain. This has to do with a very important idea, learning. Everyone has idea of what is learning, formal learning from reading and writing, or learning by doing, by socializing. And it means the acquisition of new information. And I would like to start from here introducing the new concept I mentioned at the beginning. It means that learning is not a piling up of information. It means building a representation, implicit representation of which we don't have the awareness how the world works, what are our expectations, how the physics of objects functions. So we call this the cycle of learning. It means we learn something new, we generate models, expectations, we use this expectation to predict reality, and when we find out that reality is different from our expectation, we have to adjust these models, update them in order to gain benefits towards reality. Within this paradigm, which is the idea of predictive brain, we think that the cognitive aim of our brain is to reduce the uncertainty that we face in the world. So to reduce the difference between what I am expecting and how the reality is. So learning to grow is a balancing between two different stimuli. reduction of uncertainty, and the evolutionary input learning. So children have to make mistakes, because only if they make mistake they can improve, and this can have a good impact on brain. What does predictive brain mean? I would like to show a video, and I would like to show you how it is simple to draw from reality statistics. Artificial intelligence will never be able it will never be able to create a model of reality starting from very few information, from a very little information, and this is actually what our brain is able to do. This video is by a musician, and the musician explains why music is so important for our brain.
Ecco, non so se avete notato.
Maybe you noticed what happened. He just, without saying a word, he associated a position to a word, and proactively the human brain, just with 3 notes, everyone was able to understand what he was wanting. Artificial intelligence is not able to work in this way. Children in everyday life, in the sport, in everyday action, also under stress, we only build an anticipation of reality. We never answer to stimuli. You always have something that is expecting. For example, if I would start now singing, you would startle, because you are not expecting this behavior from me. I want now to show you another point of view concentrated on the neurological development. The question I would like to answer: which is the best moment for a human being to learn? When is our brain most ready to learn? I want to show you this picture, and I want to show you the changes we have in the different stage of age, 5, 10 and 15 years. You can the colors show the different stages of development. You can see that some regions of the brain are mature at an early stage. You can see that we have to wait for 20 years to have the full maturity of the brain. Adolescents are not mature in the brain, but there is something else more interesting that I want to show you. I hope you can see the picture, the synaptogenesis between neurons in the brain, and each picture is, these are pyramidal neurons. As you can see, they are at different phases in our life. You can see that the connection between the neurons is at the maximal level. You can see at this stage, this is our brain, is the piece of matter more complex in the universe. What age are we talking about? When is the plasticity of the brain most? Someone has said 3 years. The reality is at the age of 2 years. This is the same representation that shows you that the highest point of the plasticity of the brain is 2 years of life. Now,
Accanto a questo abbiamo un altro dato.
we have another without other data. This is how the brain is built. This is how much the brain consumes, and you can see the consume of glucose, which is the energy spent by our brain. You can see that the maximum peak of glucose consumed is from 0 to 5 years, and then it goes down. This consumption, and we are talking about basal metabolism, 20% is used by the adult people. Children under 5 years of age use 60% of the glucose. So the prefrontal part of the brain is working at the maximum speed in the first 3 years of age. And this is a new discovery. Maybe I'm talking about 15 years ago. Nature gave us an organ, and a part of this organ is working so well. The answer, the possible answer, is one from Mark Johnson, who the reason why that this part of the brain works so much because we use this part of the brain to learn. It means at the beginning of something complex, for example, learning how to read, learning how to write, we use this part of the brain, even if it's not completely mature. When we have learned something, this region starts to work less, and the information are transferred to another part of the brain. So the hypothesis we have that the brain is apparently so immature at an early stage, so that we have the maximum time to learn. In Italy, the investment for schools, I'm sad to say that maximum investment is made for older children. Even if we are not aware of this, a child of 5 months, if the child listens to a sentence using in a wrong way the word mother or father, because in Italian, mamma has a feminine article and father a masculine article. And the child startles if this combination is not used properly. So the child already is able to discriminate the gender used in the grammar, in the Italian grammar. So the brain constructs models. I want to show you something different. I am playing here with my children. This is my baby girl some years ago when she was 3 years old.
Questo è il fratello più grande.
This is the older brother.
Ecco,
What happened? If you look properly, first, before taking the ball, the girl closed her eyes and she was able to anticipate the event. The anticipatory action happened. We have to wait until 5 years so that the brain can create internal connection. So beyond the language, the experience is very important to build a predictive anticipatory brain. I show you another example. This is a research of the laboratory where I am active. I want to show you that we can observe these experiences using brain waves responding to external stimuli. What happens when the brain is able to pre-activate before a stimulus that can be interesting for a baby? So the brain is not a passive organ, but is able to extract rules from reality and uses them to anticipate facts. We started a play with the little children, peekaboo, which is very important to develop the predictive abilities. This is what the children were able to see. We simulated. And during the game, we registered the brain activity. What happens in the brain of the child between the covered phase and the uncovered phase? There is a waiting time of 1.5 seconds. You remember Piaget talked about the permanence of the object. During the waiting time, the 9-month-old child, there are many areas of the brain which are pre-activating before the phase is uncovered. So the brain seems to the brain shows a very special activity pattern with differences between children and adults. Both in the adults that in the infants, we find an activity of the prefrontal areas. But if we look into the very beginning of the experiment and at the end, you can see that this area is less activated. In this part, this area is very active, and then the activation goes down. When we look in the back part of the brain, it's the opposite. In the child, this area starts to be activated at the end of the game. Not in the adult, of course. The 6-month-old child uses a part of its brain to predict. His brain is trying to understand what expectation he has. So this is a learning which is not passive, but it uses a statistic regularity. I go to the conclusion also to give a framework to all the data I presented. Someone of you is going to ask, what does Leggere to do with this scientific data? If we think that learning means to understand what reality offers us in order to create patterns, for example, day, night, darkness, light. For example, when the child looks at the face of the mother, he associates the voice with the face. All this creates models, internal patterns that update our learnings, and in the terms of Popper, forget the hypothesis and use the hypothesis to implement reality. The word gives us many possibilities to learn. Our brain has the only capacity, unique in nature. It's a formidable machine ready to understand regularity and use them to construct a predictive system. Exposition to early literacy enables deconstruction to predictive structures. When mother and father read to a child, they help him or her to build a fantasy world and
cervello predittivo, fa sì che il
to
bambino
create a predictive brain. The child goes into the world with information and expectancies of the reality. For example, understand the feelings of other people, how to react to a risk, what can I do and what I can't do. So the last two images I want to show you. The first is the description of the development. This is proximity development zone by Vygotsky. Let's try to think of us in this comfort zone where we don't need anything where we learn. But there is another zone, a zone beyond this area, where we can learn only through the help of somebody else. And we can evolve in a predictive way, in a constructive way. Reading and, in general, early experiences belong in this zone. One of the most, Umberto Eco, an Italian intellectual, the person who doesn't read will have lived only one life. If you read books, you will live 1,000 lives, because you will have built models in your brain and you will understand how to pose yourself towards the external world. That's why it is very important to continue to develop the project Born to Read.
Contro ogni aspettativa, conoscendomi. Se ci sono domande anche in inglese posso rispondere.
Magari lo facciamo al termine della sessione. Proseguiamo invece. Abbiamo spento, scusate. Pronto? Ecco.
We go now to Mr. Sandro Bianchi, pediatrician, among our best friends, because he is the chairman of the Association of the Umbria Pediatricians. We remain in the same research sector. Exposition in the first 1,000 days of life of a child. It's an honor for me to be here for this very sensitive audience. I am a family pediatrician and it's a big honor for me to be here. My topic is environment and readings. Let's try to put them together. We talk, first of all, of nature and children. The child develops in the first 1,000 days of its life through the exposition and the exploration of nature. The senses of the children collects inputs from the environment. So the environment is the real teacher. And teachers learn how to touch, explore. This is really a source of vitality, and nature is a teacher of calm, beauty, patience, and beauty. And these words come from Maria Montessori. Cosmic thought of Maria Montessori reminds us that the first year of life, from 0 to 3 years, it's a time of absorption. We take in information and sensations that help us to develop language. Then, in the second period, from 3 to 6 years, we reorder this information. The children learn to recognize rules, connections, patterns. patterns. And then we arrive at the 6th year, children start to ask questions. Why am I here in the universe? Which is my position? Children now are under home arrest. They really lack of nature. In the last 50 years, the relationship between game and children, open-air games and children, has changed in the last 50 years. We have to remind the families to let the children play outside. When I was a child, my mother had to tell me, come home. The lifestyle of the children is really now under home arrest, house arrest, and the risks are really high. Attention disorder, food disorders. This book was written in the year 2005 and defined the syndrome of nature deficit. Which are the symptoms? You can see there are, I won't read them to you, but you certainly know all of them. We have a big weapon. This is the games. How are free games important? This is a very important aspect. They help reaching important steps. It's a gym to develop and to prove themselves. It's a place of physical and mental health. Game is health. This is a joke written by Francesco Antonioni. The mother comes to the pediatrician and asks for a recipe, and the doctor says, let him go walking to school and play time every day with his friends. What values are present in the game, in sport, and in physical activity? We all know that there are so many benefits, but sometimes we're not able to put them in place in our lives. UNESCO, for example, reminds us that sports and physical activities reinforces friendships, the inclusion of every person, and especially peace, which we really need now. The benefits are especially important for children with health issues and children with difficulties in learning. Children have to develop gross motor skills. For example, jumping, moving, playing, and they need coordination between eyes and hand, and they develop physical activities and the verbal production. They manifest from the birth until 18 months of age, and through this line of learning, children learn mental and motoric functions, which are very important. Environment is the best gym to develop these aspects. Playing outside, it's a prevention for towards illnesses, and it's a care. Playing outside is very important, not only for healthy children, but also for children with health issues. Reduces risk of obesity, the lack of vitamin D, improves immune defenses, and other diseases, for example, short-sightedness. Free games among peers outside is a protective element of the neuro development and reduces the health risks. For example, parks and trees are really a big resource. which children can benefit most from the green, for the urban green. For example, children with mothers with low literacy, or children coming from low-income families. Living near green spaces is very good for the brain. There is a scientific evidence between the connection of green spaces and development of brain. The ability of concentrating, and another aspect, it has an impact on the morphology of the brain and enhances the volume of some parts of the brain, and the cortex of the children with living near green areas is higher. Now the audience is aware of the good practice. For example, for music, you know that we have two projects, Born to for music and Born to Read. The relationship between music and brain is very high. From 1999, I was there in Assisi, and for me this is a real honor. They founded the association and these two projects, stemming it from other projects, international American projects, that had an enormous impact in other countries. And which are the key concepts? For example, the necessity of an early intervention, the centrality of the family, the universality of the pediatricians, especially for children with social problems, and then a network. We are all aware that the network has had an important impact on our work. This is the neural, the professor that before showed you the pictures. After these first 1,000 days, you know there is a pruning process in our synapses. So you know that in the adolescent time this pruning will go on. The human connection creates neuronal connection. The connection between people brings about neuronal connection. I will show you some data stemming from 1989. You see that children exposed to daily reading have a higher development of the language. What is the relationship between the project Born to Read and the environment? I want to show you 4 categories: reading environment, environmental impact, sustainability. The environment is fundamental. If you read in a quiet environment, helps to develop a positive relation with reading. Reading the sounds of nature in a wood, you can connect a story you are reading with real experiences. And talking about this idea, I want to underline the practice of outdoor education, where nature plays a very important role in the education. There are many predecessors to the development of this idea, starting from the 19th century, Montessori, Padel. The environmental impact and sustainability. In order to grow the awareness of the environment, you have to start very early. And promote reading among children implies also the environmental impact, for example, how the books are made, the adoption of specific books, for example, with recycled paper. You share books, reducing the costs and the consumption of paper. And libraries teach us that they really have the maximum of sustainability. Many regions started the idea of the bibliobus. If you are not able to come to the library will come to you. Environmental education. Reading is a way to grow the awareness of children towards the environment. Through a book, you can grow eco-conscience, not only to make children aware, but also families. Small children, in an individual way, they can make an effort to improve the environment. Environmental health. An healthy environment is fundamental for the well-being of the children, and the project Born to Read has the function to spread the awareness of the importance of nature. External environment, but also in our homes. The silence of the environment interrupted by the deep voice of the mother or the father can create an atmosphere. We go back to our reality. We are an urban society and not a society living in the nature. In the year 2050, 50% of the population will live in an urban space. So public spaces are very important and not only dedicated to parking space. And the public space for green spaces is going to be reduced further. Then we have to take into consideration other factors like pollution, breathing functions. For example, a small child has a very higher rhythm of breathing, so is more exposed to the pollution. Children in town, high health risks, more breathing diseases, and an impact on the breathing system. How can children in the primary school going to school placed near parks or green areas? What can we do? We can let our children play outside. We have to let them doing free activity outside, calmly or in a calm way in the nature. I want to refer to Maria Montessori. The true experience is not to learn from the adults, but to live in the external world. What do we need from our towns? We need trees, we need more green spaces, we need green areas. Green areas reduces all the environmental negative factors, so we have to invest in parks. What are the resistance of the parents? Children fear that the cold temperature in winter let their children ill in the winter. Cold is not a factor that enhances the growth of illnesses. COVID taught us the green spaces are the most important place to protect children from seasonal diseases. The sun is a big disinfector, reduces viruses and germs. Cold germs do not survive. On the contrary, germs live in the schools, in our homes, in restricted spaces. I want to suggest a book which is very important and gives us many stimuli. It's a praise of bad weather for children. And I thank you for the attention.
Grazie al dottor Bianchi. Mi viene in mente che noi stiamo allora...
We are now in Umbria. We have the Wood Day, where we invite schools to read books in open spaces. We will go further with this project and encourage schools to read outside. The University of Perugia is one of the our most relevant partners, and we have here Professor Moira Sannipoli, and she is taking up the topic of emergent literacy, learning language and reading in the first 1,000 days of life. Thank you for welcoming me here, and thank you for involving a psychopedagogic idea in this development. Many parents come to me and they ask me for how to teach children to read in an early age. We have to reposition on this topic, and what kind of reading are we talking about, and what kind of reading do we have to use? I start continuing what was said before me. Is more important, is nature or nurture more important? It is politically correct, you remember 50-50, nature and nurture. Nowadays this is diversified. Relations. All the persons who are mediators, I would like to think that what we need to talk about is not only a practice but a policy, should be a strong choice of the policy, because under this way, this approach, we could eliminate inequalities and different situation of the starting life. Who we meet in life and what we meet in life is more important of what we have when we are born. I want to show you that the thought has a sort of creative dimension, and our brain tries to reconstruct every time. And we have evidence in the smaller children. Literacy in this scientific literacy gives us evidence of these conditions. Child care services in Umbria reinforced this data. Learning is not fast. Learning has to go slowly. Is funny. Is something which cannot create pain or be something difficult for you. School in this way is within the exercise of power, and school in this way tends to be different. Learning is very, when you want to welcome you have to put two elements together, dimension based on listening, on encouraging. We need that we read everywhere, not only in a closed environment, in an environment able to activate thoughts. And there has been a development in the libraries in the last years, where spaces were restructured in order to create a welfare. Children need to understand relations. We need books where relations are adapted for children. For example, memories able to activate memories in children. And first of all, the research says if you want to anticipate something, it takes years. Anticipation in the first 6 years, reading and learning to write. We want to anticipate, for example, in schools, in our schools, we want to anticipate steps. We want always to anticipate something earlier. But we have to comply with the rhythm of the children in order to respect their skills and their qualities. Someone of you remembers that children in the infancy schools had to repeat and repeat the same letter, the same signs, where the execution of the letter was not meaningful, just a repetition. When we want to discover the relation between reading and literacy, I have in mind the Italian actor Giorgio Gaber. I will try to tell you what he said. The story he wrote was A Dream in Two Installments. For he said he was in the midst of a dream. He was in a small boat in the midst of the sea. Why am I dreaming to be in the midst of the sea? Maybe I'm tired, I need evasion, and I need to escape, and so on. And he sees someone swimming towards his boat. Oh, who is coming towards me on the sea? The person is coming nearer, and he thinks maybe it's a risk if we are two persons on the same boat. And when the person comes, he wakes up. And he says, oh no, now I could understand if I were able to take the other person into consideration, the dream finished. And he tries to get asleep, to fall asleep again. Now he has another dream. And now he is the person swimming in the sea. So the person, having gained the little boat, doesn't welcome him in the boat. What is useful? He concludes the story. Now I understood something. If you ask for help, sometimes you get hit. There is exhibition, and you want to help the others. And if you want to, well, that's too fast. Sorry. I didn't make it on purpose. This is the sentence of the conclusion of the story. Is what we want to promote the emergent literacy. We haven't got to invent something different. We have just to be able to collect the inputs coming from the book. There is not something that teaches you to read and write. The project Born to Read has always insisted that reading has to be fun, has to be a gift for a family and for the children, hasn't to be a sacrifice. If we read what is in the scientific literacy, emergent literacy, we mean a series of behaviors that children show when they come spontaneously to the reading and to writing. And there is not a formal learning. This is very important to remember. We as adults, we always try to formalize experiences because we want to control all our procedures. And the parents come to us and they ask us, how do we teach our children to read and write? And they want to know which are the books we have to use to teach them more words. If you want a quality reading, you have to keep in mind the factor of having fun, spontaneity, the ability to speak, to listening, and to write. Through reading, they reinforce all these elements to access in a spontaneous way without introducing formality elements, but trying to develop beauty. A good practice aloud helps children to develop words and production of language if you are exposed to a loud reading constantly. And then you can also discover the symbol of the written language. And you as an adult, you can ask questions and let the children reflect on the letters, on the length of the words. These are elements that you can use during the teaching of writing and reading. But in a book, also the ability, for example, the syllables and phonemes. What are the scientific evidences? The more you read, the more you activate some brain areas, and not only used for writing and reading. You activate those areas that support reading and writing, and not the area specific destined to reading and writing. They will help to potentiate, to reinforce the ability of reading and writing. It is very interesting about writing. This is a research we made recently. Around 5 years of age, but maybe also earlier, children start to produce writing. And for example, this child had drawn eyes, and he wrote keys. And the child, but I go to buy the eyes at the shop keys. So the association was correct. It was a complex association because he bought the ice cream in a specific shop called Kiss. And that's why he had written down in this way. And this is a way of showing how spontaneous this relationship between reading and writing is. What can be the precursory elements of the reading? So, reading aloud is very important. Why? You help children going towards reading and writing. You can support them in manipulating a book, just pointing words with your finger, showing the direction of our reading from left to right. These are all components that can be useful during reading, without any specific purpose, without formality. You can show the relationship between the word and the objects around you, the possibility of an action from the book and an action performed. You can use more accessible books. Our region worked on more accessible books, so we have also research problems trying to understand what is the relation between a child following those signs and a child memorizing all these signs, and trying to understand what is the connection between memory and learning. From this point of view, I would like to tell you what we propose in this research. We work on these components of the reading and writing learning. A good teacher, of course, or a parent can show that a book has an order and that the reading has to follow this order. And the book is an object. You read in a certain direction. The book has an author. You can tell the children the book has been written by a specific person. Each word starts with a letter or with a syllable. The letters are available in different forms, capital letters, different types of printing. We can activate numeracy. How many words are there in a page? How many big words? How many capital letters? How many letters in a word? So these are all elements that can enhance literacy without following a formal procedure. I have to draw to the conclusion. I want to show how important it is to put in the center relations. Starting from reading, a reading able to make many things come true, and often when we hear this connection between reading and learning, this author says, you don't have to look for something special. You have to look for the beauty of the sentence. There are too many methods, but within yourself, you know that the method is not necessary, is not enough. Empathy? No. This is not a word that you cannot pronounce in a school, in a lyceum, or in a university. No, I can't. I tell you. If you use the word empathy in an educational environment, this is a book called School Diary. So you have to take care of the other. You have to have interest in the other person. And I draw to the conclusions using the words of another writer, Silvia Vecchini, that I like to use in this page. She invites us not to look for the right book, the right context.
attraverso il quale facciamo accadere le cose. Io mi ricordo una volta in una formazione con Nati per leggere, qualcuno ci disse, ma si può leggere anche...
Someone told me that you can read everything, also the leaflet of the supermarket. If the relationship is what counts in this development, what you read is not so important. And she says, and she invites us, when you see something small, don't look, don't force into the child an attitude. Do the opposite. Remain near the child silently and honor in this way the word. Reading and literacy have to stay together if we as adults can develop this relationship.
Grazie Moira Sannipoli, anche per queste bellissime citazioni. Allora, cominciamo la seconda sessione. Chiediamo un passaggio dal...
We start the second session, and we start with international guests. Kelly Paul is indisposed and she cannot come, and I give the floor to Rashida Bolassan, coming from Malaysia, from the National Library in Sarawak. Welcome, Rashida. The title of her speech is very interesting for us. One of our mission is to connect libraries to museums and to cultural heritage. So I think it will be very interesting to see how they work in another country.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. And it is actually a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you so much, Olympia, for inviting us. What I'm going to share with you is just kind of, I know and I've read that you have done the Born to Read program, and we have been also been going on this journey as well, because we learn from the others through IFLA as well. So what I'm going to share with you this afternoon is, okay, the middle one. Okay, thank you. Thank you. In our library, we have done the Born to Read program since okay, yeah. Right, slowly. Thank you. I'm going to approach this in terms of saving our heritage through early literacy. And I come from a state where we have about 34 ethnic groups in our place, and because of education, because of development, quite a number of the languages of those groups are dying. And in this program, the Born to Read program that we have already kind of evolved over time. And since 2016, we call it the Reading Seeds program. And actually, I have a box here. I'll show it to you later. I forgot to bring it over with me. And this program is the first Southeast Asian story being recognized in early childhood education, published on the Library Map of the World of the IFLA initiative. Now, we started it in, yeah, there you are. Thank you. It's all in here. We started with Born to Read as early as 2003 because our libraries was established in the year 2000, and over the years it evolved. When we started, we bought books, And normally books are in English and published overseas, and more often than not, they do not really carry our own story. So over the years, we started to think, why don't we contribute to the world of literature with our own stories? So in embedding that, we want to have this responsibility of not just creating readers as early as possible, but also embedding into our children our own cultural heritage. So while doing this project, we had an ecosystem, like what the other previous speakers were also taking just now, that when you read to a child, you create an ecosystem, not just with the stakeholders, with the parents, with who are the important ones, and especially to the child, but also the people who are part of this journey together with us. So with this project, it's not just working with the parents and the child, but also creating writers, illustrators, and working with clinic assistants and also the doctors. So in this, we call it our collective responsibilities of raising readers together. And our target achievement is we would like to create these children to be independent learners and also lifelong learning through early reading introduction. So when we did this program, this is our design team. And we have doctors in here, pediatricians, we have mothers, parents, we have teachers, we have linguists, of course librarians are in there as well. So these are the people who put the inputs into the program. And with these contents, there are three major contents in this. Reading, we have books and all that. But the other thing that we thought is very important is not just giving the books to the children for them to read, but also in terms of seeing the progress of the child through reading as early as possible. So in this kit, we work together with the doctors from newborn until 36 months. What are the progress that you should see in your child when you are reading to the child? Yeah. So and also we want to kind of educate parents to look for notices or indicators whether the child is progressing or developing appropriately according to his or her age, and also certain what do we call red flags to notice, so that you can know whether your child has a reading reading problem, or not just reading, or a progressive development program. And we also have like what you have at your initiative at the back there. We give the parents the modules on how to read. You'll be surprised that when we started this project, quite a number of parents do not really know how to read to children. So we tell them the proper techniques of reading, and it doesn't have to have letters. The lady said that even reading at a supermarket or on containers and all that, those are also reading. And these are the contents of the book, and it's all inside here if you want to explore it later. But the thing that I want to highlight over here is what are the cultural elements that we embed in this product that we have. So these are the cultural elements that we put. We pick various cultural elements from various states. For example, in the state of Kelantan, the heritage is on the kite, and they are beautiful kite makers. And because we have various indigenous groups, we have the Chinese, the Malays, the Indians, and of course, the indigenous groups of Sabah and Sarawak, we embed that as well in there. For example, from Sarawak, since we developed it, so we put a lot of our elements in there as well. In one of the books, we put our state bird, we put the types of frogs that we have in Malaysia. In the state of Sarawak alone, we have 60 types of frogs. So we kind of put the different frogs design over there and introduce to them local fish of tropical waters, for example. And when we do the ABC, when we bought or purchased books from overseas, A is apple. We don't grow apples in our country. So we introduce to them local elements. So, for example, and this is the other cultural heritage that we introduced there. This is shadow play. Is one of the cultural elements that is big in one of the states of Kelantan. So we introduce this and we teach parents that reading can also through visual literacy. This morning we're talking about visual literacy. So we have this and just simple stage using a small screen to show this kind of fun learning for the kids. So that is one cultural element that we embed in. And then, of course, our ethnicity picture book. We introduce our different ethnics in there. For example, R stands for Rafflesia. Rafflesia is the largest flower on earth, and it is available in our biodiversity in our forests. Or P stands for pitcher plant, or in the local language is called Periokera. And this is also indigenous to our state. So things like that we kind of try to make the children know what's available in our forests. And this is also one way of our contribution to the world of knowledge as well. Okay. This is a closer picture of a pitcher plant. And on the height chart, we also embed over there elements of our cultural heritage as well. And even on this box over here, this is a design of our weaving textile of our own people, of the Iban of Sarawak. So little things like that we introduce and embedded in this. So I'm not going to go into detail. This is the number of boxes that we did, and we distributed it throughout Malaysia. And we also did an impact study from 2020 to 2023. And of course, it sort of confirmed the findings of, early reading is very important. And early reading also is family bonding. Early reading is also the roots for lifelong learning. And early reading is very important, like what our professors mentioned just now, so I'm not going to do that. So the next milestone for us, version 4, we're going to have the new, which is in progress at the moment, we add in more of like textile or tactile introduction in the product. But most important thing is we are also going to have Braille. So we forgot that there are parents who are blind. How do they read picture books, for example? So we are embedding inclusivity into our project as well. So basically that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Vorrei ricordare anche ai presenti, mentre passo la
Parola al prossimo oratore, che per chi avesse necessità sono disponibili gli attestati di partecipazione all'ingresso.
You can have the participation certificate if you need it. We have boxes here full of many beautiful things. Adrian Langendong. I hope I pronounce your name correctly, of the Dutch program Bookstart, who will show us, who will introduce the literacy approach in the Netherlands. So we are now learning how all these strategies are interpreted in a different way in different countries.
Okay, yes. Tomorrow I have another presentation. So this is the wrong one.
Oh!
He will replace it. Yeah. And this is for tomorrow. Okay, thank you. So it gives me some time to talk to you. Thank you for inviting me, especially Olympia. It's a shame I don't speak or understand Italian. I'm sorry. English is not my first language either. That is Dutch. I like to thank the interpreter. Very good job. Thank you. And I'd like to thank the former presenters. It was very interesting. We know the 1,000 days of development also in the Netherlands. We work with that as well. And also Rashida, many things. A lot of elements are known to me. Of course, not the indigenous things, but a lot of similar elements we have in the Bookstart program. This is the suitcase we are distributing to newborns. Yet. No. Yeah. You just put it. I think it's that one. Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry about it. Yeah. See, sorry. We have found it. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I'm talking, sorry about that. Tomorrow I present again, and this is the right, so I will talk to you. Please be silent, because we are running out of time, and we are short in time. Please. Otherwise I can't do my story. I'd like to talk to you about the Dutch Bookstart program. We call it Babies Love Books. And we first have the Bookstart for Babies. We have 3 programs for Bookstart for Babies. And then every parent of a newborn will get this suitcase in the library. So you have to go with a voucher to the library to collect this. I show you the contents later on, because we don't have so much time. So you pick up this Bookstart package at the library, and included a baby membership. And there's also a baby book collection available. You have a library tour and parent-child activities just for the babies. Like Rashida, we've got also the Bookstart tactile bag for blind or not very good seeing children. And we have the program that's Bookstart in childcare. And that's very important. The library supports the people who are working in the childcare facilities. They are professionalizing the reading environment in the childcare. And it's also part of the pedagogical policy, and it's included in the daycare program. And especially, we added value to digital picture books in childcare. Because that's very essential for language development, especially for language poor families, poor in Dutch language, of course, with a lot of multilingual people in the Netherlands. It's quite important that you, as a parent, you read in your own language, but also for the child, it's very important to learn Dutch. And the Dutch is learned better sometimes by digital books. So you learn, for instance, more words. We have also did a review or a research, but it's now too short a time to talk a lot about it. We have also, we realized what is a good digital picture book. So it is set here. We will upload the presentation later on if you're interested. We are really, we can emphasize this. But for instance, here you can look. It's very important to use it in childcare. So success factors, there are 3 on a scientific basic. The digital picture book, and you make a link between the digital and the physical book. Quite important for the children. So we had a pilot with picture books in daycare, and that's quite successful at the moment. We are doing that over and over again. We invest money for libraries who wants to start with this in their childcare centers. And it's also important for children who are very active or are not like to sit. So they're with picture books on the computer. They are more easy. So we did a review on it, and that's done by a Dutch professor, Adriana Bus. And you can easily Google it, and you find the findings of this research. And for us in the Netherlands, it's quite important that there are some digital picture books for free. If you're a member of the library, you can just download them and play them with your children, because that's the website Jeugdbibliotheek. That's Library for the Youth, and that's on a national level. So the content is available for every parent, because people up to 18 years of age, you have a free membership, and that's it's the law. So every child up to 18 years of age can be a free member of the Dutch library. So we have the last part of the Bookstart is the Bookstart coach. This Bookstart coach, who is like a reading consultant from the local library, is supporting in the healthcare center in the Netherlands to support pediatricians and nurses. And they approach language poor parents in an accessible way to inform them about the importance of reading aloud. And the goal is to overcome low literacy at the earliest possible point in development, as you said, like the scientific people told us about. So some figures. I'm sorry, I'm a bit quick, a bit fast now. We have 65,500 suitcases last year distributed. It's about 40% of the newborn babies in the Netherlands. So 40%, maybe not so much, but it's a lot, because you don't get it in the healthcare center if the baby is born, but you have to do something, you have to go to the library, and you collect it over there. And we have also 177 Bookstart coaches at 283 healthcare centers. And we have 78% of the public libraries are working with the Bookstart in Childcare Center program. And 38% of the childcare centers work with Bookstart. So these are quite good figures, I think. So we've got 2 scientific studies done the last 10 years, you can say, from Bookstart to Booksmart and the long-term effects of Bookstart. If you Google them, you can find them in English, of course. And so I will show you some results. First, it was a review or research between Bookstart parents and people who didn't collect the Bookstart case. And the difference is the Bookstart parents have an early start with reading, a library membership for the child, and the duration of the reading session is much longer. But there are also similarities. The frequency of shared reading is the same, the number of books at home is the same, and the library visits are also the same. So, a few results. I said the enhanced reading environment at home, and the Bookstart parents know more baby book titles. And if they participate and read to their baby before they're 8 months old, the children score higher on language, and it increases in time. With 15 to 22 months, it's more extensive, and especially children with a difficult temperament as they have better language scores, even if they are 5 years old. So they benefit most of the Book Start program. I skipped this one. Then we have another study that's about the book gifting programs. This was 44 studies are compared, 15 on Book Start, and I think 18 on Reach Out and Read, an American program. And there's also the Dolly Parton program, and that is the Imagination Library. So there are some similarities, so no difference between the three programs if you are looking at the enhanced reading environment at home, and especially in low-income families, it is extra. But if you overall, the Reach Out and Read program has the biggest effects. Again, you can find it on the internet. So we had some recommendation from this 44 studies compared for the Netherlands. So we promote participation in Book Start for all parents. It also makes a difference for children of highly educated parents. Nowadays, a lot of Dutch parents are so involved with their own life, with their telephone. They're not reading to their children anymore. So for these people, it's also of interest. But especially for the low-educated parents, Book Start is very interesting, but you have to do a bit more promotion to these groups. And you have to make the importance of reading a structural part of conversations with parents at child health clinics or centers. And in practice, so we expand now the Book Start coaches approach, especially in the healthcare centers. And we piloted successful with one healthcare organization and one library with Reach Out and Read elements, because of the biggest effects. And the recent developments, and then I'm nearly, this the last slide. So we introduced the second Book Start package for toddlers in language poor families, and I have it with me. And this is in 10 languages. So, yeah, you can look at it. Sorry, this is in 10 languages. So we made like 30,000 copies, and the Book Start coaches are giving this to parents, low literate parents or parents in poor language parents, you could say. And also we produce more multilingual reading material, especially of course for our Dutch Caribbean islands, because the language is not Dutch but Papiamento. And we have increased the visibility of Book Start through public campaigns such as the Baby Book of the Year election every 2 years. And the annual Book Start Day in libraries, which is very successful. It's always in June, the starting of June. And we redeveloped the website and we introduced the Book Start app. That will be it for now. Thank you so much.
Grazie Adrian.
One thing, I like to give this to Olympia. Thank you so much, Olympia.
Molte grazie Adrian anche per aver ricordato l'importanza di raggiungere.
Thank you so much, Adrian, also for reminding us how important it is to reach out for all families, out for the social weak ones. And remember that we have here obstetricians and we are informing them on the importance of reading with very small children. I thank here now Maria Ponomarenko, manager of coming from Russia, and she manages reading centers in Russia, and she will talk about a good practice developed in Russia.
I would like to thank all the who organized this conference. It is a great honor for me to be here and to have a chance to share some practices from our work with you. Thank you so much. Here is our team, and here is the building of the Library for Foreign Literature, which is one of the most big in Russian. And we have like more than 3 million volumes in more than 150 languages. And our main goal, we as a Children's Literature Department, which was opened for more than 30 years ago. So our main goal is to promote reading in foreign languages, which is a more difficult task, as you understand, than reading, even reading in native language. We have as our symbol, we have an elephant, because you see in the center this elephant, which came as a gift from Indira Gandhi to Moscow in 1970s. So we are really proud of this present and are proud to introduce it. We have different reading programs, and I would like to say that the library mission was twofold since its creation. It was opened more than 100 years ago, and on the one hand, it has to perform a full set of traditional public library services, and on the other hand, was aimed to encourage a cross-cultural dialogue and to bring bridges between nations and cultures, promoting understanding between them. So we have really great and rich and representative collection of foreign children's books, and we do our best to inspire interest in children's books and readings and interest in various cultures. Yes, here is some items from our collection. We also work as a research center for children reading, for the culture of childhood, for history of illustration, which is very important in children's books, of course. So what do we do? After those digital books Adrian has spoken, we look a little bit old-fashioned, but our main method is reading aloud in foreign languages. Of course, because the best teacher for a child of a preschool age is, of course, parents. Are parents, but no parent can read in the great amount of foreign languages. So one of our programs, named Reading on Pillows, it is literally on pillows. You see those pillows of different colors, and the child can choose which color to have. So it is one of the most popular projects. Most successful. It is quite easy. It is focused on our collection of both traditional and picture books. And children listen and discuss picture books in different languages: English, French, German, Italian, Chinese. These are languages which our staff can read aloud, Swedish also. But we also are welcoming volunteers, mostly the students of pedagogical institutions, to read in those languages we cannot read ourselves, in Korean, in Indian languages. So the amount of books involved is quite great. So these are the most popular ideas which you I'm sure are aware of. But what I wanted to say, that our main goal is not to teach foreign languages, just to make children taste foreign languages, to inspire their curiosity, to make them hear the melody of different languages, and to show that reading should bring joy. Like Moira have already said, we also share these values, of course, because I don't know what they do in our schools, but when a child is entering school at the age of 7 and has to learn one foreign language, maybe the school rules are very strict. Maybe the teachers are not so inspiring, but very soon they get afraid of it and do not want anything. And we hear it from the parents that come to our library with their children and saying, "Oh, Vasya hates English, please do something." And we do what we can. So this is quite a simple idea, but quite productive. So what else? Let us see. We also share the importance of being in nature, which we have already discussed. So in summertime, we are going to our small yard in our atrium and hold various activities there. We read in open air, we dance, we draw, and we having fun, because our main idea is to associate reading with something very pleasant and interesting. We have also the club for children from 2 years old, and it was developed in response to requests from our readers to make a course for youngest children who already want to learn English. And of course, these are not lessons, these are meetings in a playful way, so children are engaged enthusiastically, do not get tired, and make significant progress in mastering the basis of English languages. So parents are also willing to attend the lessons and apparently get no less pleasure. So the leader presents a book or a topic and uses, as I have said, play-based learning approach with a lot of modeling, games, experiments, and observations. We also read through bodily tactile practices and games. So children are usually love to sing songs and to play with each other. We also promote different activities about books, like inviting writers, artists, and, which is most maybe important in our case, translators, because children are not aware of the fact that, I don't know, Astrid Lindgren wrote in Swedish, Andersen wrote in Danish, and as they have a chance to read it all in their native language, someone should have translated all this richness. So I will be happy to answer your question later on and maybe to speak more about our experience. Thank you for your attention.
Grazie anche per questa veramente interessante esperienza.
Thank you for presenting this interesting experience, reaching to other literacies through reading. For example, the use of the foreign languages. We have a program called Mamma Lingua, and we try to give mothers or parents books in other languages, not in Italian, so they have books in their native languages. embedding also cultural heritage elements. Orvieto is not a place with every other place. We would like to show you how we started our program. We have Serena Ciambella of the municipality of the Comune di Orvieto. So they will introduce the story of the program Born to Read.
Vado io. Mi sentite? Sì, ok. Scusate. Allora, io sono Serena Ciambella.
My name is Serena Ciambella. I am so lucky to have been working since many years with the town of Orvieto, which always had a special awareness of the culture for the infancy. I have worked in child care centers. I started with very small children, and always in our child care services we had libraries. We had stands so high as tall as children, where children could find books. And books were always in good conditions. So children could touch the book, maybe throw them to each other, but we always had the task to put back the books into the shelves. So together with the consultant center for mothers, together with other pediatricians, when we started this initiative, we embraced the project because we felt it was a great support to our ideas, and it helped us to understand better how to work with families and children. Also with families, we always put the attention on books, and we tried to pass over emotions, feelings, because when you read books to children, you are near the children, you are cuddled up with children, you dedicate a minute, 2 minutes only to your child, and we explain the families that this was a very important time, a way of reclaiming quality time with your children. There is a time where we share coziness and read together. Often, parents always thanked us, and they understood the importance of our words. And those children, who are now adults, maybe they don't remember that time, but they are children who developed a special sensitivity, and maybe they don't remember the book I read them, but they know the story of they were told by their children, by their parents. So for us, it was very important to be in this program, Born to Read, because it gives us the strength to share also in the library, but also in the Center for Mother Consulting, a project in which we really believed. We had the project gave us the confirmation that we were doing the right thing. My name is Ciccioni. I am an obstetrician and I work at the Motherhood Consulting Center, and I am here to explain why the Motherhood Center. Let's start with a start. Consultori in Italy were established in 1975 through a women's movement who had really wanted it. It has an history dating back to 1899. In our country, in 1975, the idea of health changed completely, which was no longer connected to the idea of illness, but to the complete well-being of the person as a social individual. The consultorio is a public area promoting information of the women, of children, and of family, and of the couples, and of the single person in all walks of life, on specific topics such as maternity, procreation, and sexual health. In 1978, with the law 144, the tasks of the consultori were enlarged, and we were included in the assistance for the abortion. The operators come from different sectors: gynecologist, social assistant, obstetrician, and other professionals such as nurses, andrologist, senologist, psychiatrist, sociologist, pediatrician, dietist, and other important professionals. We all work in a team and we offer preventive and diagnostic actions. They integrate with other services present on the territory, and Consultorio is a reference center where we have at the center the obstetrician. The obstetrician is a professional with her own profile defined by the law 1974, taking care autonomous of the prevention and the protection of the women in every phases of the women's life. We can say, and I like to say, that the obstetrician are bonded together with the origin of humanity. In the spirit of the public health service, the consultorio and the access to the services are free, with an active offer and services to direct access for Italian and foreign citizens, but also for people just temporarily living in Italy. The consultorio in Orvieto was established in the 80s and our health staff in 1999 started a cooperation with the project Born to Read, with pediatricians and with the health care centers, so that we would be able to diffuse the idea that reading is necessary from the first months of life of children. Today, in 2024, we are aware that the first 1,000 days of a human being are of strategic importance. They set up the basis for the development of all the rest of the life. The consultorio in Orvieto is made of an interdisciplinary team, psychologists, social service staff, obstetrician, pediatrician. We offer birth courses together with the library and the social services of the town. We dedicate a meeting to the project Born to Read. I want to say something, to be honest. It was a project started with the staff of the library going to the consultorio, and they brought books to visualize, to read, showing the importance of reading and showing the future parents how important it is to read. Now, parents are accompanied by the obstetricians during a planned meeting to the library, and together with the staff of the library, we illustrate all the environment, the most suitable books for children. And within this consultorio, we develop training activities targeted to specific population groups, birth accompanying courses, courses for water activities during gestancy, open to all the time of the gestancy, support to breastfeeding, home support for parents, courses a meeting after the birth for parents and children, a massage meeting for the mother and for the father, but also for children during the birth accompanying course. Since 1997, we have also a special space for adolescents until 24 years, and we accompany them to understand sexuality, dependencies, sexual diseases, and preventing strategies. We have special spaces, birth control, sorry. We have spaces that we use for courses to involve students to do oncological prevention, for example, breast cancer screening, and we have a very beautiful room dedicated to reading and breastfeeding, and the furniture was given to us by the association Elisa Lardani. Consultori are a unique asset of our National Health Service, which has to be protected, notwithstanding the difficulties we are coping with. I want to quote Mafalda, By Kino, she says, living without reading is dangerous. We must then believe in what other people say.
Allora, grazie Anna Maria e Serena per il racconto che avete fatto, le parole che avete speso per questo progetto.
Anna Maria and Serena, I thank you for your words. I am part of the staff of the library. I am substituting a colleague, Livia Laneve, who has been followed the project Born to Live for many years, and she can't be here today with us, and I would like to start thanking. Slides are not activated. I want to thank all the libraries. We have been working together. The special event today, the birthday of 25 years, the party dedicated to the youngest children. We collected all the images you could see until now. And the evidence of the work, of the collective work done in the last 25 years. The pictures you will see were collected to remember and to celebrate this anniversary, and they are so similar to a photo album, and they are a testimony of the different generations of women sharing this project throughout the years in this precious work of reading aloud. Before you reach the garden, you can see photos and the presentation of a work called The Magic of a Steam Vessel. And this is the first DVD developed within this project. And this DVD was one of the best practices of our region. And that is an example of the work done by this network made of obstetricians, pediatricians, social services operators. I am a part of this project. I have started with this project since a couple of years, and I wanted to start giving you an approach which is typical of my task. One of the things that hit me was what Serena also underlined and anticipated. In our monthly meetings here in the library and in the consultorio, she found girls, now young women, that were our babies, that were read when they were children. And they told us that the reading experience they had done as children, that maybe they had abandoned during adult life, they understood they had to restart again when they were becoming mothers, in their transformations into mothers. And so It means that we have a second generation of person who experience Born to Read. Gianni Rodari taught us that reading is a sixth sense that has to be cured, cultivated, is a seed that has to be cultivated. Exactly as we for example, we try to become fit. Books are a cure, a therapy for the soul. Culture is taking care of the soul. The stories and the archetypes we are told when we are little children, their voice that read aloud are signs that remain within us throughout our life. And the seed has the magic to be reborn when we need it. That's why I am convinced that every time we invite people to our library, but especially children, the question we have to ask is simply, what can I give them? What can I give them back? We should not try to convince children to love books. We simply have that the magic happens, that this little seed will flower. The objective cannot be a short-term objective, but to develop long-term process and to give a power that can accompany us throughout our lives. This is the lesson learned by Gianni Rodari, by Rodari, by Don Milani, Michela Murgia, and the second generation of Born to Read. We have the occasion to have with us a representative of this second generation, who is Chiara Pelucchi, and I invite her to tell the story of her experience. She was a child when she started. I think my colleague, she was at the crash when she started, and then she took part into the courses. And then she accompanied her girl to our meetings in the library. My name is Chiara, and I am the mother of two girls, Maria Sole, 3 and Maria Sole, 1 month old. I experienced my gravidancy during COVID, and the second was better. I want to thank the obstetricians of the consultorio because they helped us, teaching us how to approach newborn babies, but they listened to us, they supported us, they embraced us. And that's for this I thank you. It was very important to us, especially in 2021, when we really feared to give birth to children. And then the infancy service. Now the little brother is starting at the infancy school, and we decided to donate books so the future children can read the books read by the older generations. The library is another very important experience in my life. My girl started when she was 8 months old. Everybody around me thought she wouldn't understand, but she listened, she learned readings and sounds. She learned how to remain silent and quiet, and she learned how to listen to a book, to be attentive. And now, thanks to the library, she learned that books must be kept safe, not be ruined, and every evening we read a story. I thank everybody.
Cerchi che si aprono, cerchi che si chiudono, e c'è anche qua, sentiamo appunto bambini che ci aspettano per festeggiare tutti insieme i 25 anni Nati per Legge, però c'è un piccolo fuori programma per il quale richiamo qui Monica Fiore e Corrado Rossetti.
There is now a very small off program. They know what to do. Let me thank Olimpia Bartolucci for the organization of these events. Only her determination enabled us to be here. I thank all the service, all the staff. I invite here Carla Lodi as a representative of the whole library, and we want to give her a plate for the 20 years of the program Born to Read, with this motivation. Born to Read Umbria thanks the new public library to follow since the foundation of the program and to promote reading for 0-6 children and for the promotion of a network, territorial network involving all the actors. It's a surprise. I thank all my staff. I'm just an element of this complex staff. It's a team, and everyone with his own or her own abilities and enthusiasm contributes every day to keep the library open.
Allora, io direi che questa seconda parte si collega a questo piccolo riconoscimento alla Seminario perché abbiamo pensato.
Now we thought that Orvieto as a town has had a very important role in this program, and we thought to an award also for a special person, Alberto Romizzi. He worked here in the past. He worked Alberto worked with the library, with the obstetricians, on reading, on music. He's a doctor. We He realized a video. We thought we want to give him an award for his role, for the role he played, with a special attention to the symbol of the DVD, which is the magic of a fast boat.
Allora, io ringrazio Corrado Rossetti, che mi ha costretto, mi ha tirato dentro il progetto e poi sono stato vincente. Ed è il nome che conoscerete tutti.
You know all the person I mentioned. I reinforce this message, this last sentence of Alberto, because Carla's birthday was today, but she left. Carla, she would have given you the award. Now we go to the garden and we celebrate together. We were encouraged to breathe fresh air.